We're talking about that before you do the masa'os, which is to turn around the midos. That's the person. And so he says now, when the person turns around his midos, that impacts the whole world. So that elevates, just like the person elevates himself, likewise he elevates the whole world. So it also takes place in the world, which is Bechinas Aliyas HaMalchus V'Olamus. The person elevates his own soul, his own nefesh, and then we elevate the level of Malchus in all the worlds, which come from Malchus. It's written elsewhere in the verse, that also the world he gave in their heart. That basically means the world is given to the heart of man, that the person, he impacts the whole entire world. When a person fixes himself, that's the way to fix the entire world. So his aliyah brings about an aliyah in the whole world. Now he says, both of all these journeys took place in Moshe and Aaron. He's going to say, Moshe is the level of Chokhmah, Aaron is the level of Bina. This is Shushvina de Malkus, Shushvina de Matronisa, meaning the Hamshocha Milmailo and the Halo Milmato. Moshe Rabbeinu brings down from the level of Chokhmah to the level of Bina, and Aaron raises from the level of Malchus to the level of Bina. And that's the way we have that Yichud. Moshe is the element of Abba of Chokhmah. So what happened? Chokhmah is the level of Ayin, a non-mitzias, nothing, and Bina is understanding, which is yesh, an entity. You grasp. So that the Ayin and the yesh should connect. You should make a union between them. So how does it take? First, it's al yidei yisoid Abba. That is through the yisoid of Abba. Yisoid Abba basically means the level of yisoid. You have within Chokhmah, you have the spheres. That's the level of yisoid of Abba, which is Shahu ha'orev ha'ashpoah mibchinas ayin. That is a ray and a flow from the level of ayin, the Chokhmah, into Bina, Bibina, into Bina. Veloy etzem mahus Abba mamish. We're not talking about, you're not giving Abba itself, but it's Yisoid Abba. Rak moi tipas Abba. It's just like the seed that comes from the Abba. Comes from the Yisoid. That's what you're mamish. Ukmoi brikas uskiris haseichel. That's like the lightning and the scanning of the seichel, which is the level of Chokhmah. So that provides the seed for later on for Bina. The idea, that's the Bamshochazu. And this flow from Chokhmah, Tzorich liz bitmidis. This needs to be a constant. Kedei lahachis ha'olamois, in order to vitalize the world. Mamer, like we say, Hamchadesh betuvei b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereishis. Needs to be revitalizing, renewing with his kindness every day ma'aseh bereishis. And v'lochein, and that's why lochein nikra Moshe. Loshen Oved. That's what we call him Moshe. Moshe means to pull out from the water, so we don't call him Moshui, as we said in the previous Mamer, but we call him Moshe, Loshen Hoiva, present. He's always being mamshich from the level of Chochmah and Bina. Gam, also, we say Doloi Lonu, Gam Doloi Lonu. As they're talking about by Midian over there, that Moshe Rabbeinu was bringing up, he was getting from the well. So he brings up She'ikir. So we say Doli Lonu. She'ikir Hamshachosui Hu Lonu. The main Hamshacha is for us, which is Lahachis Oelamis, to vitalize the world. So Moshe Rabbeinu brings down the level of Chochmah through the Yisoid of Chochmah. Lahachis Oelamis. That's why Moshe is called Shushvina de Malka, the support for the king, because he brings down because he brings down the infinite light which is in Chochmah. The Arein who Shushvina de Matrunisa. He is the Shushvina, he is the support for the queen. Shemamshich Eirabina lemalchus. He is this word because he brings down the light of Bina to Malchus. And then Malchus can go Maila. Al Yidei, hey Gvuras de Bina, through the 5 Gvuras of Bina is the Aliyah. So Aaron is mamshich to them the support from Bina to be able to bring the elevation. The Zehu Aleph Harnun. Aharon is made of Aleph Harnun. So that means Kihar, what's the relation to Har mountain? Kihar Rubchinas Midis Dibina. I guess we talk about Horim Ugvois. There's a mountain and then there's a hill. A Gvois hill. So the Har, that's referencing to a Midas of Bina. Gvois are considered the Midas of Zoh. That's already when it's Galus. So that's why he's there, because Nimtza Aidei Moshe v'Aaron. So it turns out that Moshe v'Nasa Yichud Davo. That is the way the union of Ava Ein comes through Chochmah to Aaron, Moshe and Aaron. Lachein, and that's why Bohem in them, Bal Yodam, and through them, Hoyu HaMasoi. So that was the journeys. By Yisu v'Yachanu, they journeyed and they came. The journey is the elevation from below to above, as we said before in the Kuma Hashem, to raise up. Either we talked about raising up all the worlds, or raising up the Hashem, all the spheres, or the Atzilus, because you'd give up because Atzilus is one before. That elevation comes from the support of the queen. That's Aaron. And the resting, camping, means to bring down the Yisabaruchu, which is rest of Chochmah, that it should come down below. Al derech yichud avo, that is similar to the idea of avo, that's the union of Ava and Chulu. And that also extends later on to Chochmah to Bina le Zav v'Nukva, to the Yichud of Zav v'Nukva. So here it seems like you need to have Milmata l'Mailo, you need the Ha'ora, you need the Halo, and then you get the Hamshocha. But we said before that this union of Avaim is a constant. It always has to be that Hamshocha that we said before. And that's why it's called Moshe, we said, because it's a constant. This is in an external, it's constant. But in the inner way, for that you need a Surus L'Tata. That's the idea of rushing and return. The Allah Mimata L'Mailo and Milmailo L'Mata. And that it means with two wings he flies, which means in order to get you need the two avodas. B'shnei b'chinas, you need the two levels. B'rotzoi v'shoif, rotzoi and shoif. Okay, so now in Ois Beis is going to explain. Basically, the previous Mamer didn't get into that, and specifically just said it very briefly. So why is it that over here we're only saying 7 times 6? That's the Shem Mab, Ono B'choyach Gedulas, which is 7 psukim. Each pasuk has 6 letters, and then by Sfiras HaOmer we say that we have 7 times 7. We have 49. Why is this 42 and 49? He said before, briefly, that ha'aloah, elevation, you have 49. Elevation, you have 42 to the level of Mab. But the Hamshacha comes down, and the question is, do we count Malchus or not? Why do we count? If we don't count Malchus, it's going to say each Sphira has in it 7. Because the level of Malchus is the expression of the Gilui of the Sphira. So if we talk about 6 Sphiras, each of the Giluyim that's the 7th part. When they come out like the Gilui, that becomes the building of Malchus. So then we get Malchus. From each of the Sphiras, their Gilui brings the level of Malchus. But that only becomes after they build Malchus. Before they build Malchus, they only have the potential. So that Malchus is within them. So you only have you don't have a 7th Sphira. It's not built yet. You have 6 Sphiras, which each of the Sphiras has the potential for the Malchus, which will later on come up Begilu, which will be 7. So when it's still in the level of the Moichin, in the level of Bina, is going to bring down Rabbi Chaim over there. It's not yet fully developed. It's only a potential. So therefore, it's there. It's 7. It's 6 times 7. So the 7, the Malchus in the Sphira, but not the Malchus as an independent. Let's look. He's going to explain over here. Hine lahavi, to understand, loma hamasois hamem beis. Why are the journeys 42? Ubisfiras ha'omer shugam keneged zay midas, and when we count the omer, which also corresponds to the 7 midas, hey mem tes yomim, there is 49 days. So it's either 7 times 6, 42, or 7 times 7, 49. Sfiras ha'omer is bringing down from Bina to the level of Zoh. At that point, from Bina to Zoh, we already need to have full Malchus. But those on elevation, what is the idea? In Isa Bezer Parshas Bolok, Davrish Gimel Ahmed Beis Al Posik. Umigvois Ashureno. So it says, Mereish Tzurim Arenu Migvois. Tzurim are the fathers of it, and Ashureno, that's the Imois, from the mothers. The mothers means from Bina. Migvois Ashureno, from when they're in the hills, when by the level of Bina. So over there, he said Ashureno. Over there, it goes out from it, as we'll see, as it teaches. This is in the Zohar. He says, Kivon dehava. You have the word bim'aha. Is that what you have? Mem ayin hey aleph. That means in the womb, in the mother's stomach. When they are in the mother's stomach, when the children, as he's going to say, the midos are in Bina Ashureno, then it's Ashureno, which means Ashureno means Oishit Psia Lebar. They stuck out a step outside. Basically, they're in the mother's womb, but then Ashureno means they go out. I mean, that's the level, as you're going to explain, the level of Malchus as it goes out. Upirish Beitz Chaim Hu B'Mikdash Melech Shom. Ubesefer HaMitzvos, Tav Kuf Siman Kuf Ayin Beis. Ashurenu Loshun Tumoich Ashurei. The word Ashurenu is like support my steps, Loshen Psia. So, Kibizmano Ibur, because at the time of pregnancy, which means when the Midos were still in Bina, or you Zov and Nukva, then the level of Zov and Nukva were Bebchinas Vav Ze'era, Shal Hey Rishoyne de Shem Havaya. During the pregnancy, the Zov and Nukva were like the small Vav of the first Hey of the Shem Havaya. So we know Yud K, the K is Bina. That small Vav, the leg on the left side, is a small Vav. So over there, I think that's what he's talking about. The Vav Zeira, I think he's talking about the left side of the hay. But whatever, there's a Vav there. Ki adayin, why is it a small? Ki adayin lohoyu zo rag bebchinas Vav kitzavis, because then it was only 6 corners. There's no malchus there. In the level, v'hamalchus malbishosei. Malchus dressed it up, but it wasn't there. It was small. Basham hoysa b'bchinas hoysoi koitz hatachten. And there it was like that small edge. Hayotze ma'at l'chutz min soy vav zu, which goes a little bit outside of the end of this vav. I'm not sure if he's talking about that dalet part. It's called the vav, that to the right, and maybe goes out a little bit. I'm not sure exactly in the letter. I got to take a look. But anyways, it's just as he's connecting it. The Vezuha Nekuda, that point that goes Nikro Psia Lebar, that's called a step outside. That's the Ashurenu. Yan Hi B'Seif Regel, that's at the end of the leg. Ubaletes Ma'at L'chutz, and it protrudes a little bit outside. Atkan. I'm not sure if he's talking a little bit about the leg on the left side, that it sticks out a drop outside of the line, or he's talking about the right. I'm not sure exactly, but in either way, the Chaim explains over there that there's something going on. When it's to the level of Ibur, there is a little bit that comes outside. There's only 6. He explains it. Loving Zeh, so we have to understand it. Why is it when the midos are included in the level of pregnancy in the mother's womb in Bina, and they're only in the level of Vav? But Malchus, and then Malchus is only counted Kimrak, the Bechinas Psil Lebar. It's only considered, it's an outside step, Shabbaseif Vav, at the end of the Vav. So we say there is Ava Mekom Mokim, even though there is that step, there is the Mukuvois Ashureno, it only still remains Vav. It only points to the 6 mitzvahs alone. Why don't we count them actually 7 mitzvahs? With the level of Malchus. If there is Malchus there, so why is it only 6, not 7? What does this mean? And this is what he's going to explain now, that Malchus in there is only potential, is not fully developed. It's only when it comes out and it becomes a sphere in itself that we have the level of Malchus. Let's look inside. Achidu al posik, known on the verse, Vayiven es hatzeilah, that Hashem built that rib that he took from Adam. So it says over there, the binyan partzuf hanukva, that how was the partzuf, the structure of the nukva of Malchus built? That comes from the level of Malchus, which is in each midah of the Zeir Ampi. The 6 midahs, the level, their Malchus built up, made up a new Sfiras HaMalchus. Hainu. What it means is that Nibchinas Malchus Shem Chesed, from the level of Malchus of Chesed, Nasa Chesed Shem Malchus, that made the Chesed Malchus. Or Malchus Shem Gevura, Nasa Gevura Shem Malchus. So from each one, the Bahainu, Mishum Shal Malchus Nikra Asiro Dikulo. That means, I'm not sure if it's the wealth of Kulu, but or the 10th of it, because maybe the 10th sphere, but the Malchus is Asirot Kulu. Why? That is the level of revelation, every midah. So the last point in each midah is the Malchus. The Malchus is the Gilu, Malchus of Chesed is the Gilu of Chesed. Malchus of Gevura is the Gilu of Gevura. And when they all come out, that builds up and makes a Malchus, a sphere by itself. The Malchus of Chesed, who inyan hagilu v'hashpo sheyesh b'chesed. Malchus of Chesed is the idea of the revelation and the flow that it is in the Chesed. Likewise, same thing by all the other midas. And that's why from the level of Malchus, of each of all the mitzvahs of Zoh, Nivna achar kach parts of Hanukva. Then later on, the parts of Nukva was built. Shu Malchus Datzilus, which is Malchus Datzilus Hanikra Almodis Galia. That's called the revealed world, because from all the revelations of the other spheres, and then from Malchus comes the flow to Bia. So in order, this building, this structure, that Nukva should be an independent partsuf, like the other partsufim, like the other Zoh, is galus hamidis. So this becomes dafke after the birth and revelation of the midas. When, in other words, not when the midas are in bina, but when the midas are actually functioning. You have the 6 midas. Oz nivna mikol b'chinas gilu hanal shalamidas. So then you build up from every level of the gilu, from each of the spheres shalamidas. You leveled up the sphera ubinyan amachus. Then you come to the sphera and the binyan amachus. But when the midas are still included in the seichel, which means they're still part of the bina, since they are still negated, they're subjugated, they are non-entities while they're in the seichel. So therefore, I did the Torah lemivla lepolit. So while they are busy, the midas of receiving, they don't give out. They're not. There's no hamshacha. Li is nimshach man binyan amalchus. Sheti b'chinuv na'atzmi. So there is no hamshacha. There's no outside. It's bottled in bina. Raki oz midas malchus kalula b'toich hashisha midas zoh. Then malchus is included within the 6 midas of zoh, which means the midas of zoh, the way they're in bina. So malchus is not separate. There's not 6. There's 7. She bechinas malchus shebechesed, malchus shebegvura. It's only malchus not separate. Malchus shebechesed, malchus shebegvura. Behainu shemrak shisha midas. There's only 6 midas. There's no malchus yet. In bina, there's no malchus yet. Rak, however, there's no malchus means there's no separate binyan of malchus. But we have the malchus which is within each one of the midas we have. That's why there is 6 included of 7. Each one is included of 7. There is a level of malchus b'chesed. The reason is it is going to be revealed. So it does have malchus in the middle, which is the revelation of it. But it doesn't apply. They should have a malchus, a part by itself, a structure by itself, its own malchus. Because since they themselves right now are included and elevated in the seichel, which is the opposite of the hashpah. So this is the idea that we said. When Zovanukla are in a pregnancy status in the womb of the mother, then it's only a small vav. Hainu. What is it? What does it mean a small vav? Hainu. Shem rak shisha midos. Hamchusim b'mei imam. There are 6 midos which are covered in the mother's womb. Who was seichel? That's the seichel. The mother's womb is the seichel de bina. But there are still 7. That tilt at the end of the vav, the points that it's going to be revealed. And that's what we call it, the psil lebar, from the outside of atzmusay. V'hainu b'chinas malchus b'chesed, malchus b'gvura. That's the level of each one of the level of malchus, malchus which is in chesed, malchus in gvura chulu, koiches galus. That's the powerful relation of the midah. So you only have 6. They're small. They're covered. They're within the bina, and there is a netiya. So we have them. Zo mispar membeis hemshisha midas. That's the number 42. Those are the 6 midas. Kolechet kol mishiva. Each one is included of 7. But they're not 7 midas mamish. Ki adayin ein shaykh shia malchus b'mifnei atzma. But we can have malchus is not yet a structure. It's not a parsuf yet. It's not independent. Least almost is galya mamish. To be revealed, it's potentially. It's not revealed yet. Ki machar aleda. That takes place after the birth. After they come down level of zah, that's where there can be malchus. Then comes the expression of the malchus of each sphere to build the parts of malchus. And therefore, the sphere Mamer shubichinas hamshocha is galus. Mebina lezov enukva. When the sphere Mamer, which were there's hamshocha and is galus, from bina to zov enukva, we give them to both zov enukva. And then benimshach gamkein b'bya. It goes on b'ya achen nimshach b'nefesh adam. Comes down to the person. In other words, where does Hamshacha end up? Where end up the Hamshacha comes to the person who's Al-Kain. Therefore, Shiva Shavuos. 7 weeks. Why? 7 times Malchus Nivna Parts of Atzma. Malchus is built as a binyan, as a structure by itself. By the Masos, it says Kuma Hashem. They're bringing up Loshen Kima Bahalo to bring up, which is Shazo Nichlo Be'ema. Then Zo is included in Ema and Bina. Va'oz Einam Zo V'nukva. Then there's no Nukva there. There's no Zo V'nukva. Kimrak B'chinas Vav. There's only the 6. There's no Malchus. Only thing is, Rakshabov Zeh Yesh Bei Psiya. It has a lebאר, it has a step outside, and hu b'chinas malchus shebeshisha midas. That is the level of malchus, which is the 6 midas. In kain heim mispar membei. So in that case, there are number of 42. And shisha midas shekom midas kululom b'shiva. That's 6 midas, each one included of 7. Ayin Beitz Chaim Shar Arecham Perik Yudalev Minyan Mem Beis Vinyan Mem Teschulu Ayin Lekamon Bedivra Maschil Hine Gabe Hamasois. So over there in Ismael Sheshem Mabu Zayin Midas Kol Echad Kolul Mishisha. 7 midas, each one including Zek Moshe Zayin Psukim. You want to guess the Rosh Tevis? The honor b'chayach kedulus min chatatir tzurura, because that's the 7 psukim of the Dam 6. Kolach yesh b'mishisha tevis. V'adrushahu basruhu. That's a later drush. Look at it over there. So I don't know, Kolach Kol Meshisha. So over there we say actually that there is 7 psukim. And each one over there, so it's 7 midos. Here we're talking about 6 midos, each one included of 6 midos included of 7. Over there it says 7 of them. So that's a little bit of an explanation. Behine, Lavin, Lama Masois, and Davke Al Derech Halov is Kaluzun Be'emo. Why are the Masois specifically similar to Zovenukwa there Be'emo, which means there's only 6 over there? Human Alpi Mashikoso will understand this based on the positive Layach Preitz Ksil Bitvuna Kim Bizgalus Libe. A fool, Pasuk says, the fool doesn't want understanding, he just wants the revelation of the heart. What does it mean? It means he doesn't want the higher level, the way the midas are included in Tvuna. He just wants the midas the way they come out. Pirush Kasil. Who's the Kasil? Kasil the Chitzonim. In other words, the only time the Chitzonim have a unika from the midas is when the midas are actually midas, not when the midas are still in the level of Bina. So they don't want the Tvuna. The Tvuna says the Beinu Bas. That's the level of the midas, the way they are in the level of Bina. Pirush Kasil, that's the nurturing of the Chitzonim. They nurture from the midas of Kedusha. Like we say, for example, Avram Shiyotzu Mimenu comes from the Kedusha. They only nurture when from the midas as they already got out of Bina. When they became the Bechina in themselves. They're not included in the Bina, but they become Bizgalus, they're mid themselves. Starting from the chest and below, over there starts the Eitz Hadas Toivara. The Vishasham is time you say the Ema, because the element, the Yisoid of Ema, finishes when it comes to the Choza over there. So up to there, there's no Eitz Hadas, there's no Toivara, because while they're included, there's no unique of Chitzonim and Bina. Abo B'Yosam, Klulim and Elomim B'Chinas Bina, when they're included in the level of Bina, V'Nikra Chsodim HaMechusim, and they're called the covered Sodim, Oz Ein Mehem Yinika L'Chitzonim. Over there is no nurturing for the Chitzonim. Kibina Nikra Alma D'Cheder. Bina is called a world of freedom. There's no Chitzonim there. There's nobody to nurture them. That's why the fool that we mentioned before, B'Tvuna, he doesn't want Tvuna. What do you mean? He doesn't want understanding. Tvuna has the letters of Oisios Ben Ubas. The word Tvuna has Ben Ubas and Vovkir, but Ben Ubas. Ben Ubas are the derivative. Those are the midas. Haina midas. Zovenukva kishe hainu hamidas zovenukva kishein klulim. Those are the midas. No kishe klum betvuna. They're called v'nikra. That's called talumas libay, the hidden of the heart, because the hidden of the heart is when it's in bina, not bizgalus. So lachein, so lo yachpei tzaksil bazeh, that the fool doesn't want it. Yan, because from that level there is no unika to the ksil, to the chitzonim, from the midas the way they are in tvuna. Rak bizgalus libay, only when they revealed in his heart, when he comes out into the open, then he has a yinika. Why is that? Because the nurturing of the chitzonim comes from a yesh, as opposed to when there's a level of ayin, which is when it's still in the level of Bina. So over there, they don't have nurture. That's why they don't want it. When they're including Seichel in reflection, and built in Murgosh Madain the Yesh V'Davar. They're not felt yet as being an entity, something itself. Ze Nikra Taluma slave. That's called the hidden of the heart. That the love is covered in his understanding, his reflection. From being so tied down in the understanding, he doesn't feel the love at all. They're included in the light of Bina. And they're not felt, they're not a yesh. Then they're called Tvuna, which are the letters of Benu Bas. And that's why there's no nurturing to the outers. That's considered a yesh gomer, and that's why that's what they don't want over there, because they don't nurture. As we'll see later on, but we'll stop over here.